All right, the story we're going to listen to today and next, before Thursday, you're going to have read on your own is Kaddo's Wall. It's a West African folktale as told by Harold Corlander and George Herzog. There's no T in either of these. I made a mistake. Oops. Kaddo, a rich man, does not know what to do with all the corn in his granary. To the dismay of the townspeople, Kaddo uses the corn to make a wall around his house rather than sharing it with others. For years, Kaddo sits atop his wall to address people as they stand below. But when his crops fail season after season, Kaddo is forced to eat his entire wall and finds himself struggling to survive. So you should be following along in your junior grade books. The first one. And turn to page 17. Now, all right, follow along. In the town of Tendel, in the kingdom of Sino, north of the Gulf of Guinea, there was a rich man by the name of Kaddo. His fields spread out on every side of the town. At plowing time, hundreds of men and boys hoed up his fields, and then hundreds of women and girls planted his corn seed in the ground for him. His grain bulged in his granary because each season he harvested far more than he could use. The name of Kaddo was known far and wide throughout the kingdom of Sino. Travelers who passed through the town carried tales of his wealth far beyond Sino's borders. One day, Kaddo called all of his people to the town of Tendela together for a big meeting in front of his house. They all came, and Kaddo was an important man, and they knew he was going to make an important announcement. "There's something that bothers me," Kaddo said. "I've been thinking about it for a long time. I've lain awake worrying. I have so much corn in my granary that I don't know what to do with it." The people listened attentively and thought about Kaddo's words. Then a man said, "Some of the people of the town have no corn at all. They are very poor and have nothing. Why don't you give some of your corn to them?" Kaddo shook his head and said, "No, that isn't a very good idea. It doesn't satisfy me." Another man said to Kaddo, "Well, then, you could lend corn to the people who have had a bad harvest and have no seed for the spring planting. That would be very good for the town and would keep poverty away." "No," Kaddo said, "that's no solution either." "Well, then, why not sell some of your corn and buy cattle instead?" said another man said. Kaddo shook his head. "No, it's not really a very good advice. It's hard for people to advise a rich man with problems like mine." Many people made suggestions, but nobody's advice suited Kaddo. He thought for a while, and at last he said, "Send me as many young girls as you can find. I will have them grind the corn for me." The people went away. They were angry with Kaddo, but the next day they sent 100 girls to work for him as he had asked. On 100 grindstones, they began to grind Kaddo's corn into flour. All day long, they put corn into the grindstones and took flour out. All day long, the people of the town heard the sound of the grinding at Kaddo's house. A pile of corn flour began to grow. For 7 days and 7 nights, the girls ground corn without a pause. When the last grain of corn was ground into flour, Kaddo called the girls together and said, "Now bring water from the spring. We shall mix it with the corn flour to make mortar out of it." So the girls brought water in water pots and mixed it with the flour to make a thick mortar. Then Kaddo ordered them to make bricks out of the mortar. "When the bricks are dry, then I shall make a wall of them around my house," he said. Word went out that Kaddo was preparing to build a wall of flour around his house, and the people of the town came to his door and protested. "You can't do a thing like that. It is against humanity," they said. "It's not right. People have no right to build walls with food," a man said. What is right and what is wrong?" Kaddo said. "My right is different from yours because I am so rich, so leave me alone." "Corn is to eat so that you may keep alive," another said. "It's not meant to taunt those who are less fortunate." When people are hungry, it is an affront to shut them out with a wall of flour, another man said. Stop your complaints, Kaddo said. The corn is mine. It is my surplus. I can't eat it all. It comes from my own fields. I am rich. What good is it to be rich if you can't do what you want with your own property? The people of the town went away, shaking their heads in anger over Kaddo's madness. The 100 girls continued to make bricks of flour, which they dried in the sun. And when the bricks were dry, Kaddo had them begin building the wall around his house. They used wet dough for mortar to hold the bricks together, and slowly the wall grew. They stuck they stuck cowrie shells into the wall to make beautiful designs. And when at last the wall was done and the last corn flour used up, Kaddo was very proud. He walked back and forth and looked at his wall. He walked around it. He went in and out of the gate. He was very happy. And now, when people came to see him, they had to stand by the gate until he asked them to enter. When the workers who plowed and planted for Kaddo wanted to talk to him, Kaddo sat at the wall by the gate and listened to them and gave them orders. And whenever the people of the town wanted his opinion on an important matter, he sat on the wall and gave it to them, while they stood and listened. Things went on like this for a long time. Kaddo enjoyed his reputation as the richest man for miles around. The story of Kaddo's wall went to the further parts of the kingdom. And then one year, there was a bad harvest for Kaddo. There wasn't enough rain to grow the corn, and the earth dried up hard and dusty like the road. I think we were just talking about this today. Karma, right? There wasn't a single ear of corn in all of Kaddo's fields or the fields of his relatives. The next year was the same. Kaddo had no seed corn left, so he sold his cattle and horses to buy corn for food and seed for his new plantings. He sowed corn again, but the next harvest time it was the same. There wasn't a single ear of corn in all his fields. Year after year, Kaddo's crops failed. Some of his relatives died of hunger, and others went away or to other parts of the kingdom of Sano, for they had no more seed corn to plant, and they couldn't count on Kaddo's help. Kaddo's workers ran away because he was unable to feed them. Gradually, Kaddo's part of the town became deserted. All that he had left were a young daughter and a mangly donkey. When his cattle and his money were all gone, Kaddo became very hungry. He scraped away a little bit of the flour wall and ate it. The next day, he scraped away a little more of the flour wall and ate it. The wall got lower and lower. Little by little, it disappeared. A day came when the wall was gone, when nothing was left of the elegant structure Kaddo had built around his house, and on which he had used to sit to listen to the people of the town when they came to ask him to lend them a little seed corn. Then Kaddo realized that if he was to live any longer, he must get help from somewhere. He wondered who would help him. Hold tight. There we go. Now the people of Tendela, for he had insulted and mistreated them, and they would have nothing to do with him. There was only one man he could go to, Sagoli, king of the Ghana people, who had the reputation of being a very rich and generous. So Kaddo and his daughter got on the mangy, undeferred donkey and rode 7 days until they arrived in the land of Ghana. Sagol sat before his royal house when Kaddo arrived. He had a soft skin put on the ground next to him for Kaddo to sit upon, and had millet beer brought for the two of them to drink. Well, stranger in the land of Ghana, take a long drink, for you have a long trip behind you if you come from Tendela, Sagol said. Thank you, but I can't drink much, Kaddo said. Why is that? Sagol said. When people are thirsty, they drink. That is true, Kaddo replied, but I have been hungry too long and my stomach is shrunk. Well, drink in peace then, because now that you are my guest, you won't be hungry. You shall have whatever you need from me. Kaddo nodded his head solemnly and drank a little of the millet beer. Solemnly means like very seriously. And now tell me, Sagol said, you say you came from a town of Tendela. in the kingdom of Sino. I have heard many tales of the town. The famine came there and drove out many people because they had no corn left. Yes, Kaddo said. Hard times drove them out, and the corn wall was all gone. But tell me, there was a rich and powerful man in Tendela named Kaddo, wasn't there? Whatever happened to him? Is he still alive? Yes, he is still alive, Kaddo said. A fabulous man, this Kaddo, Sagoli said. They say he built a wall of flour around his house out of the surplus crops, and when he talked to his people, he sat on the wall by his gate. Is that true? Yes, it is true, Kaddo said sadly. Does he still have as many cattle as he used to? Sagol asked. No, they are all gone. It is an unhappy thing for a man who owned so much to come to so little, Sagol said. But doesn't he have many servants and workers still? His workers and servants are all gone, Kaddo said. Of all his great household, he has only one daughter left. The rest went away because there's no money and no food. Sagol looked melancholy. Ah, what is a rich man when his cattle are gone and his servants have left him? But tell me, what happened to the wall of flour that he built around his house? He ate the wall, Kaddo said. Each day he scraped a little of the flour from the wall until it was all gone. A strange story, Sagoli said, but such is life. And he thought quietly for a while about the way life goes for people sometimes, and then he asked, And were you by any chance one of the Kaddo's family? Indeed, I was one of Kaddo's family. Once I was rich. Once I had more cattle than I could count. Once I had many cornfields. Once I had hundreds of workers cultivating my crops. Once I had a bursting granary. Once I was Kaddo, the great personage of Tendela. What? You yourself are Kaddo? Yes. Once I was proud and lordly, and now I sit in rags begging for help. What can I do for you? Sagoli asked. I have nothing left. Give me some seed corn so I can go back and plant my fields again. Take what you need, Sagoli said. He ordered his servants to bring bags of corn and to load them on Kaddo's donkey. Kaddo thanked him humbly, and he and his daughter started their return trip to Tendela. They traveled for 7 days. On the way, Kaddo became very hungry. He hadn't seen so much corn for a long time as he was bringing back from the kingdom of Ghana. He took a few grains and put them in his mouth and chewed them. Once more, he put a few grains in his mouth. Then he put a whole handful in his mouth and swallowed. He couldn't stop. He ate and ate. He forgot that this was the corn with which he was to plant his fields. When he arrived in Tendela, he went to his bed to sleep. And when he arose the next morning, he ate again. He ate so much of the corn that he became sick. He went to his bed again and cried out in pain because his stomach had forgotten what to do with food, and before long, Kaddo had died. Kaddo's grandchildren and great-grandchildren in the kingdom of Sino are poor to this day, and to the rich men of the country, the common people sometimes say, Don't build a wall of flour around your house. The end.